Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and tonight I'm joined by Kevin McCluskey and James McKenzie. We're here to talk about the first half of James Forrest's testimonial at Celtic 1, Athletic Club 2. Come to you first, Kevin McCluskey. What's your thoughts about the first 45?
It's not been great, has it? From a preparation point of view for the first game of the season, we've been pretty much off the pace for the whole game. As I think this is the one pre-season match where you can throw that it's just a pre-season friendly game argument out the window. This is preparation for the first game of the season, and we've been pretty poor. Midfield's been completely off it. With a wee joke there just before we came on about Kwon. I think he's been. I was hoping he was that athletic midfielder for us, and he's not really shown it in the first 45 minutes. It is only 45 minutes. It is early doors, but it's not been a great 45. But we're playing against a good quality opposition. Athletic Club's a really strong side, and you can see that the way that they're pressing us and closing us, and they're forcing us into making mistakes. We're not used to playing against teams like this, so it's been a tough game. It's a good workout in a sense, actually, but you'd kind of want to see a better performance from us.
Well, the thing is, Kev, you don't want to go in studs up when it comes to new players. It's a pre-season friendly, and you don't want to judge too much a player like Kwon, who is coming over from South Korea. You think to yourself, right, it's going to take him some time to adapt to the Scottish game, you would expect. But when you try to do these analysis shows on the match days, I tend to take notes, and just about every single thing I've written about Kwon is Kwon loses possession. So that doesn't bode well. But I'm going to qualify that by saying, you know what, it's 45 minutes. He's a new player. It's going to take him time to settle. So I'm not going to overreact in relation to it. It was a disappointing half, though.
I remember a certain H. Larson having a howler in his debut. He set up the winner, actually, in his debut, but just for the wrong team. So you can't. We're not going to sit here and write Kwon off after 45 minutes, but we can justifiably say he's had a poor 45 minutes, and maybe the next 45 or 4,500 minutes he plays for us are going to be of absolute top quality. This has just not been his first half. It's just not been his half. That's all.
You're right. Big shout out to Feed the Bear getting involved, and obviously there are different features on the YouTube that you can get involved in, and Feed the Bear is doing that. Thank you very much for your contribution. But when we look at the contribution of one of our new signings, James, I do underline the fact and emphasise the fact that, I'm not seeing it as an opportunity to get stuck in just to him, because I think the possession and losing possession has been an issue throughout the midfield and throughout the team. Hatate, it was Hatate losing possession that caused the first goal.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure we mentioned pre-match about the change of shape, playing Kwon and McGregor. It looks like a double pivot. And we've spoke multiple times in the podcast about how it could be a different idea for Europe, a different approach to try and make us a bit more solid defensively. And it looks like a team that is...
You didn't listen to what I said there, no?
But the other week you were comparing Haksabanovic to Berbatov.
That's right. Aye. Well, they've both got that same swagger around the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. No, I know what you meant. I
think it's the best way.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you there, mate.
As I was saying, I've lost my train of thought. It's a double pivot. It's going to be natural that playing sort of a different shape. I don't think we saw a double pivot in the entirety of Ange's time as manager. It's clearly a new shape and something that should provide a bit more defensive stability, and it's done a bit of the opposite. But it seems like a settling in, bedding in period, and in these meaningless pre-season friendlies, it's sort of... It is the time to experiment. It is the time to try something new. And you've seen a similar thing with some of the newer players that have played today's game. Navrocki looked a bit unsettled the first few minutes. Just want to clarify to those in the comments. This is just me talking about his performance today. This isn't me saying Kwon and Navrocki are done at Celtic. I thought Navrocki was unsettled at the start, but it's natural a couple of minutes into your Celtic debut. I thought he grew into the game. He made a couple of good tackles. Towards the end of it, just on Kwon there, a couple of mistakes. None of them were really punished by Bilbao. They went close. Kwon was dispossessed, and then I think it was Iñaki Williams that went through and goal. And Carter Vickers, that brilliant flying tackle to stop it, and that's what Cameron Carter Vickers brings to the Celtic team. That's what I mentioned to Paul when we were watching the game, when Williams runs through on goal. I was more confident that Carter Vickers would make that tackle than Williams was to score the goal. That's the sort of factor that Carter Vickers brings to the Celtic team, the solidity. You can make a mistake and he can jump in and stop it. So it's good to see Carter Vickers back, and it looks like he doesn't need a bedding in period to get back to sort of his best after the injury. He looks like he's back to his best again.
No, you're right. I think there was a few moments in that first half, James, where you could see there was an area in front of defence that should be protected by your pivots, your holding midfield players, and it just wasn't there. And quite a few times you actually said to me, McGregor is just going back to his normal role to try and protect the defence.
Yeah,
Carter Vickers was winning. He did, yeah. And Carter Vickers was winning headers, rather. He was intercepting balls, and he was looking to see why on earth was this massive space in front of him, because that is where he needs to be protected, and it wasn't happening. On the right-hand side, Iwata, who I've been praising actually during the pre-season, I think Iwata started all the games so far, I think, the 5 games that were played. And I was praising him because he stepped into an unfamiliar position. We know he's played some games there in Japan. But, this is a different level, I think, of opposition today. And I think that, for the second goal, it was so disappointing, Kevin, because we'll come to Hatate's goal, but we had pulled it back. And all you want to do is make sure that you can settle into your game and into your stride again. Don't give away a goal within 60 seconds. And it's our own fault. It was our own mistake.
I think every single chance they've had has come from our mistakes. You give them the credit because they've kind of pressed us and harried us and maybe forced us into making a few slack passes, and then they've been on us. But that goal was dreadful. It's basic 101 defending. When the ball's coming out the air like that, you get rid of it. You either put a head on it, or if you're letting it bounce, you're 100% confident your touch is getting it clear. He's just sliced it, but credit to Munayin because he's picked up on it. He's shown a good bit of strength to hold him off, and I think it's a decent finish. I know some folks will probably have a go at Siegrist for it. They could maybe have got a hand to it and kept it out, but I think you give credit to the finish. But yeah, just disappointing that to lose a goal 60 seconds after getting yourself back in the game. Disappointing it's come from our mistakes. But if you want to take positives out of disappointments, these mistakes can be cut out. That's a goal that you can go back in the training pitch and work in it and tell Iwata the next time that ball comes to you, you stick your head in it and you get rid. Basic defending.
No, you're right. Mike McPherson, it's a good point. I mean, yeah, we've started off with the performance of Kwon, but Hatate was guilty of losing the ball quite a few times. Siegrist even, he played it into that area of the park where you're looking for the defensive midfielders to be in, and, it went nowhere. So, yeah, I think it's been a feature of the play that we've got a group of players there at the moment who haven't played together. It shows. You've got a couple of players, I think, that haven't really played at all for Celtic. That shows. Iwata's playing right back out of position. And although that's not been an issue so far, I think it looks like one now. Paul McLaughlin, is that right? McLaughlin? Where are the Green Brigade? That they are missing. They're missing from the game, Kevin. We were talking about that before the match. And I expected, I think, for them to maybe make their presence felt, their presence known. And it's been pretty quiet without them. But you wish that, on a night like tonight, we didn't have to talk about a protest, a silent protest, a protest where a group of fans haven't turned up for the game.
Yeah, we spoke about it before the game, and I just don't see the sense behind doing it. As I said, I was one of the ones that didn't want Brendan Rodgers back because of the way that he left the club, and I know I've made that decision through emotional thinking. Rationally, I know he's a really good manager, and I think he probably is the right man for the job. But I support Celtic. So if I get the chance to go and watch Celtic, I'm going to go. If I get the chance to come on here and support the club, I'll do it. I don't see what they hope to achieve by boycotting this game, especially when this game's not about Brendan Rodgers. This game's about James Forrest. You come out and you support James Forrest. I like the Green Brigade. I've got a lot of time for them for a lot of their initiatives, but not for this one, I'm afraid, lads.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few other here. It's not Iwata's fault. He's not a defender. But the point is, he has played something like 30 games in that position previous previously when he was in Japan, and he's been playing there all pre-season. So, he is our only option there at the moment. You've got Ralston on the bench, but it doesn't take his position out of the equation at the moment. If the ball comes to him and he's in the middle of the park, if the ball comes to him and he's on the right wing, that's not how you deal with the ball. You don't try and, I don't know if he tried to flick it back over his head or if it was a missed kick. You just don't deal with it like that. It was a bad touch. Yeah, so he's going to get punished if he's in the defence, and he was punished. And you know what? It's highlighted because we just got ourselves back into the game. It was a tremendous goal, actually, by Hatate, who had given away possession in the first minute of the game. What have been the positives? Well, Maeda has looked razor sharp. James, we spoke about that in the first half. He looks, really intent, brilliant interplay. There was a movement between himself and Hatate and Kyogo that had Kyogo scored. I said at the time, I think Kyogo's touch was too good because the ball was too close to his body. He wanted to play it in front of himself to get a shot, and it didn't happen. But, I think Maeda's been the best player on the pitch for Celtic.
Yeah, his technical side of his game seems to have improved a lot. When Rodgers, the rumours were that he was going to come in, and when Rodgers first came in, we thought that he might be one of the players who might struggle to get into the team under Rodgers, but he's adapting. He's clearly improved the technical side of his game. He's done the work with Harry Kewell off the pitch as well. And I thought he looked really solid in the first half. He was doing the usual Maeda things as well that we know, the pressing, the Harry and the opposition defenders, and even the attackers when he's back closing down some of their players. I thought Cal McGregor had a decent half as well. I thought, as much as we talked about how disjointed the midfield looks, we highlighted two players that had given the ball away a lot. I don't think Cal McGregor was one of them. It was actually him getting in the face of the Bilbao midfielders that led to Hatate getting the ball in that space. And it's a brilliant finish as well from you, Hatate. He sort of made up for his mistake in the first half. But as you mentioned, it's a poor touch from Tomoki Iwata. He's sort of unlucky that he's played out of position against probably the best player in the Athletic Bilbao team than Munain. But it's a poor touch, and then he loses the man as well. Munain sort of gets by him with ease almost, then it's a good finish as well. It's Cameron Carter-Vickers was basically right in front of him. It's not really an easy chance to take despite getting sort of the help from Tomoki Iwata initially. But if I'm going to take some positives, I thought Cal McGregor was good for the goal, and I thought he was the little play that we did have going forward. I thought Cal McGregor was sort of the driving force behind that, and it'll be interesting to see what we do at halftime. I would like to see Odin Holm come on. It'll be interesting to see if we stay with the double pivot or we see this isn't working. We've experimented and it's not looked good. Perhaps we go back to just having McGregor as the holding midfielder, and then we have the two a bit further forward. It's something to think about. I think if Rodgers does completely change the team, completely changes to a different 11, it'll be interesting to see who on the bench will step up. I want to see what Abad will do when he comes on, because he's been one of the main players that's impressed during pre-season. I want to see him have an impact in the second half as well.
Yep, Michael O'Reilly. Friendly or not, our defence gives me the fear. Basic mistakes. We're going to see, I think, a different makeup of the defence in the coming weeks. There might even be more arrivals as well, but certainly Iwata is playing an unfamiliar role at right back. We've got concerns about the left back position that we've spoken about as well. And, with regards to the central defensive partnership, there's one thing about Starfelt and Carter-Vickers. There was an understanding there when those two players played together. It was a very successful partnership. Jonathan Brown could get messy with full change of team in the second half. We do tend to see that, any fluidity that starts to come together, like Noroski was playing himself into that game, like James said, then it all changes in the second half. So we'll see what happens. Kieran, yeah, we could give you a sing song because, of course, we did release a single in December, The Glory in the Dream. And the thing is, Kevin,
sing The Glory in the Dream.
We could do that.
Half time.
By the way, at Christmas time, they did play it at the stadium, which was just surreal to hear the single getting played there. But I've not been playing it at the events that we do. So I think in the break, we're going to have to get up on the big screen. And
I'll certainly go out and do some carol singing. We'll door-to-door performing the song.
Don't give them any ideas, James, because we might end up doing that. And we've also got McBeelan 1888 dads. I thought he was calling me a Celtic dad. Lads, it's a testimonial. You're not going to get 100% commitment and risk an injury or season starts on Saturday, just as Pirlo makes a movement to the top tier behind you there, Kevin.
The back behind me there.
Did you see that? Yeah. And finally,
point for the second half.
Joe Fulham with a very natty pin badge on your avatar. Is that Celtic bag behind James for sale? I would say, like Jota, it isn't for sale. Make of that as you would. Like Jota, it's not for sale. So yeah, it's an old one. I think it's an original 9 in a row bag from 74, I believe. And there's actually a printing error on the dates. Don't know if that makes it more unique or less unique, who knows. But let's go to the second half. We'll see how we line up, and at full time we'll be able to analyse that as well with a full time reaction. Thanks everybody for getting involved, and thank you to Kevin and James for joining me on A Celtic